you're going to heal. I can't make you heal. Just like I can't go into bars and I can't go into casinos and hypnotize everybody to quit smoking. They probably don't want to quit smoking. I can't go into prisons and turn everybody into, upstanding, law-abiding citizens. I can't hypnotize Elon Musk to write me $1 billion check.
Welcome to Inspired Choice today. I'm your host, Caroline Biesalski, here to bring you authentic stories, surprising lessons, and powerful takeaways to fuel your journey in business and life. In each episode, I'll take you from one inspiring guest to the next, blending their experiences with my expertise to uncover practical strategies you can use right away. Whether you're starting out or stepping up, stay tuned for insights and actionable tips that make a difference. And stick around until the end for a special freebie just for our listeners. Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline and my today's guest is Greg Meriwether, and I'm so happy that you are here. Welcome. How are you doing?
Oh, Caroline, I'm doing well. Thank you. I've been looking forward to this for a while, so I'm glad the day is finally here. I've been looking forward to talking with you.
Oh, yes, let's do this. And I would like to introduce you to the audience. Of course, you are a certified clinical hypnotherapist and founder of Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy. With over 12 years of experience, you specialize in medical hypnosis and NLP, helping people overcome trauma, anxiety, and limiting beliefs. Your course, Ace Any Test, offers comprehensive test anxiety relief for exams, interviews, and public speaking. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Greg.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was a nice introduction. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about this, and yeah, let's dive right in.
Oh, perfect. So my first question to you is, what inspired you to focus on hypnotherapy for trauma and anxiety relief?
Well, it was really my own healing. I think a lot of people maybe get into the healing arts, if you will, the healing sciences, because of their own healing. And I was struggling with my own depression and anxiety when I was a teenager. This is back in the 1980s. And, back then there wasn't really much you could do about it. The medications, Prozac, things like that didn't come out till the late 1990s. The internet, of course, wasn't out there till late 1990s, early 2000s in terms of researching and getting more information. And so in the 1980s, at least here in America, we really just had talk therapy or maybe whatever book you could find at the bookstore or the library. And so, and as a teenager, you really don't know any better. I just had the intuition that this is the way everybody felt and didn't really know what to do about it. I didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. And so I just, wore it like a uncomfortable coat for quite a while, because it's, how do you tell somebody that life can be better? It's like describing color to a blind person. If you don't understand life can be better, well, how do you understand life can be better? And so I just kind of maintained. And it was really the birth of my son in the year 2001 that I really decided to get my life on track. And by then the internet's out there and lots of information, lots of research you can be doing. Lots of books had been written, especially the conversation was getting bigger in terms, because the Prozac was out there and people were talking about depression and anxiety. And so there was lots to research, lots to look at, but also a lot of techniques and strategies and skills that were being written about and talked about. And so I just started working on myself. My mother struggled with depression. I struggle with depression and anxiety. So there's a good chance my son's going to struggle with it, right? Whether it's some sort of genetic trigger or, mirroring what's going on in the home. So if not for me, at least for him, right? So I just started working on myself kind of on and off. We moved, went from California to Arizona. So that was a big move, starting different work and different careers and a new baby and all this stuff. So it was kind of on and off, trial and error, but I was working on myself. I was practicing. I was doing the skills and learning the skills and practicing techniques. And I remember one day I was just lying in bed. It was a Saturday morning, so I just was kind of lying in bed, waiting to start the day, watching this kind of the light come into the window. And I realized I hadn't been depressed or anxious in a really long time. I'd kind of shifted, sort of like the reverse frog in the water. I kind of shifted myself and didn't even really notice it. I'd reset my nervous system and probably even rewired my brain to a certain extent. And when I realized I had a toolbox full of tools, and so I started, going out there. I joined a book contest with Hay House and did very well in that. And so I'm out there talking about depression and talking about anxiety. But one of the things that really helped me in terms of the deeper healing work I needed to do was therapeutic hypnosis. And it came a little bit later on in life that I had the opportunity to train as a hypnotherapist, because it always stuck with me how wonderful this modality is. It's not about control. And what's frustrating about this, and why I like coming on shows like yours, Caroline, is to talk about this, because there's so many misconceptions and so many myths about this because of movies and TV and what people see maybe on shows like in Las Vegas here in America and comedy clubs and things like this, these hypnosis shows, is that it's about control, like somebody controlling you to do weird and funny things. And it's not. It's really about your intention, because nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do. That's why when people want to quit smoking, the smoking cessation isn't 100% guaranteed, because there's some people who don't want to quit. They're just going to say, oh, well, I tried everything and now maybe I'll just smoke in the garage or outside or something. You can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. So it's not about taking control away from you. It's giving control back, because it's about your healing. And really, control is already gone, because if you're automatically creating anxiety or anger, or you feel hurt, or you're in pain, or you're wounded, maybe even for something from childhood, are you not already out of control? You're already hypnotized to create this feeling state in your body that's probably quite uncomfortable. And you might not even know why you're doing it. So in a sense, you're already hypnotized. So a lot of this work really is de-hypnotizing you from past trauma, from past hurt, and from past pain. It takes a great deal of effort for your brain and your body to create anxiety, to move over into the fight or flight stress response, to create that anger or that overwhelm or that fear. You have to turn off the hormones of oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. You have to turn on the hormones of adrenaline and cortisol. And I don't know, Caroline, you probably heard the stories. Maybe a lot of your listeners have heard the stories of grandmothers lifting cars off of babies and things like this. That's adrenaline doing that. That's now coursing through your brain, moving into your bloodstream. Your brain creates these molecules called neuropeptides. These neuropeptides, hundreds of millions being dumped into your bloodstream, that send the signal of emotion to the cells of your body. That's why you feel like that. That's why you get upset and you feel anxious or afraid or angry. These are literal molecules of anxiety, molecules of fear, molecules of stress and anger. 300% more blood's moving to the big muscles of your arms to fight. 300% more blood moving to big muscles of your legs to escape. It's got to come from somewhere. So it's turning down the power on your immune system. That's why people get sick when they're stressed. That's turning down the power in your digestive system. That's why people get irritable bowel syndrome when they're stressed. And all this is happening because you don't even know why. It may be all within the unconscious mind. So all this effort from your brain and your body, due to some sort of unknown trigger, you're already hypnotized to create a physical response to something in your world, in your environment. So really, a lot of this work is just de-hypnotizing people from past experiences that have hurt them or have caused trauma, or even things like physical pain. If somebody has had surgery or has a broken leg or something, even that is you're able to influence with your own subconscious mind. Again, I don't fix anybody. A hypnotherapist doesn't fix anybody. Hypnotherapy in and of itself doesn't fix anybody. You fix yourself. And Dr. Irving Kirsch called hypnotherapy a non-deceptive placebo. And, we know about the placebo effect. This is when the, pharmaceutical company, let's say, is doing a research on high blood pressure medication. And half that group in this research study gets the placebo, gets the sugar pill, the control group, because they know mind will heal the body. So they literally have to account for that in their research. Mind will heal the body. And so half the people get the sugar pill, maybe 30% get better through mind alone, healing themselves through their own mind, being tricked into it though. The other half gets the real medication, but let's say 40% get better on the real medication. Well, they now have to subtract 30% because maybe they got better through mind too, and really only 10% got better on the medication, and that's good enough, and we'll put it on the market. So all these people got better through mind, but nobody looks at that really. I mean, I get it. I didn't get it because there's no huge windfall. There's no big money in showing people how to heal themselves. But Dr. Irving Kirsch calls this a non-deceptive placebo. I mean, we're not going to trick you into healing yourselves. You're going to do it on purpose. And so a lot of people look at those shows. Yeah, but I saw a show on YouTube, or I was in Las Vegas or Macau or whatever, and there's a hypnotist show, and people were singing like Elvis Presley and dancing like Michael Jackson and barking like dogs and quacking like ducks, and it was silly and weird. And yes, and every single person volunteered to be up on that stage. You can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. And so you go to one of those shows, it's pretty expensive, especially here in America and Las Vegas. It's pretty expensive to go to one of these shows. And so they're going to entertain you. But you buy a ticket to the show and sit in your seat, and there's people there who volunteer to go up on stage because they think that's fun. I don't think it's fun. I'm sure, Caroline, you probably don't want to do that. Maybe probably a lot of your listeners don't want to do that. But there's people out there who just find that fun, just like the people who like to ride roller coasters or, whatever. They want to have a good time. And so they volunteer to go up there and, look at their faces. They have a big smile on their face. They're having a good time. They're extroverts. They're exhibitionists. They're just entertainers. And they want a funny video to put on TikTok or, YouTube or Instagram or something. They just want a good time. And so their intention is to have a good time, and they do. And so they act silly and they dance like Michael Jackson, bark like dogs, and all that funny stuff. But what if your intention is to heal? You're going to heal. I can't make you heal. Just like I can't go into bars and I can't go into casinos and hypnotize everybody to quit smoking. They probably don't want to quit smoking. I can't go into prisons and turn everybody into, upstanding, law-abiding citizens. I can't hypnotize Elon Musk to write me $1 billion check. The reason I don't have $1 billion check from Elon Musk is because he doesn't want to write me one. And I can't hypnotize him to do that, because you can't control other people, but you can give back control. So that might be a very long answer to a short question of how I got into this, but it really is that timeline of my own hurt and pain and realizing how extraordinary this methodology is. Because when I was doing my own work on myself and reading the books, they would always mention hypnotherapy in the back of the books or the article or the blog post or whatever it was, the interview. They would say, here's some things you can do to change your life. And there would be like 5 bullet points. And usually they're all different except one. They always mention hypnotherapy. And so I thought, well, this must be something. If all these people who write about this and know about this are experts and masters at it and teach about it, if they all talk about hypnotherapy, maybe that's something to look into. So I looked into it. It was very deeply healing for my own self. And later on in life, I got the opportunity to do some extraordinary training around it, and been doing it ever since.
Wow, what a great answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now I know everything. So you talked about being depressed in the 80s, so to say. But what I realized, I think you were not aware that it is a depression. You said your mother was depressed as well, and there was no internet, so you did not know about all that. Only after that, you saw that in other people that they can be happy as well, and then you made the decision to change something. This is incredible. Then you talked about your journey into hypnotherapy, and I love your analogy, or it's not an analogy, but the story about Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I was in Las Vegas last year, but I missed the show or a show. I was in no shows, so to say. Yes, very interesting. And I would not be one of the people on stage, definitely
Oh, you
not.
would? Okay. All right.
No, and I remember my grandfather, because when I was little, he talked about a hypnotherapist or something who did a show in
Yeah.
a shopping mall in our town, and he said also something, no one can hypnotize you against your will or something, and he had a strong will, and I'm like my grandfather, so if I don't want it, yeah, and you said no one can fix you. You can only fix yourself, so to say, or heal yourself, right? You can empower people. And I love that very much. And I have one question.
Yeah.
One question came up to what you said because of the words. So hypnotherapy, and I heard about how is it called? Theta healing? Theta healing?
Theta healing?
Theta healing? Yes. What's the difference between
Well,
hypnotherapy?
oh yeah, and sometimes there's a lot of different modalities out there, and sometimes they cross into each other. What's the difference between guided visualization and guided meditation and hypnotherapy and neurolinguistic programming? And sometimes there's not a whole lot of difference. I'm not too familiar with the details of theta healing. So I think it's kind of like an energy healing kind of thing. In terms of theta, uh, sometimes in hypnotherapy, we do access the theta brainwave state. And so the kind of famous brainwave states, at least that we learn about here in America, are the beta, alpha, theta, and delta brainwave states. And basically, just really quickly, certainly I'm no neuroscientist and I'm not a brain surgeon or anything like that, but really quickly in a minute or two, basically brainwave state just denotes level of consciousness that you're in. And it's really just how fast the neurons are firing in your brain. And so an example I give sometimes, like if I'm back in high school math class and I'm listening to the teacher and I'm paying attention because it's going to be on the big test, and I'm taking notes and I'm trying to understand what's going on and I'm focused, I'm firing about 18 cycles per second. That's what's known as consciousness. 18, 20, somewhere around there is what's known as consciousness. I'm paying attention to my external world, but it's very boring for me. And after a while, I just kind of start doing one of these and I start staring out the window. And I start, watching the leaves blow in the breeze. And I'm thinking about the weekend and how much fun I'm going to have on the weekend with my friends. And I don't hear the teacher anymore. I'm not paying attention. I move into more daydreamy state. That's the alpha brainwave state. I've just altered my consciousness and moved inward and moved into more daydreamy state. And kids are still asking the questions and acting up. The teacher's still talking, but I don't hear any of it. I'm not paying attention. I've moved inward and thinking about my own thoughts. And then I start doing one of these and I'm moving, kind of falling asleep, but not really asleep, but I'm not really awake either. And that's lowering down, altering my consciousness once again into the theta brainwave state, around 6 cycles per second. Alpha is about 12, theta is around 6. Pretty soon I might be asleep. And that's in delta, that's 1/2 cycle or a half cycle per second. And then the teacher sees me falling asleep and says, "Hey, Craig, why don't you come up here and do the problem on the board?" And I jolt awake and I'm looking around and everybody's staring at me and I'm embarrassed and I'm humiliated and I don't know how to do the problem because I wasn't paying attention. And now I'm really stressed. Now I altered my state of consciousness again. And now I'm firing about 30 cycles per second because I'm in the stress response because I don't know how to do the problem. And so just in that short period of time, maybe 7-8 minutes, I've altered my state of consciousness 3 or 4 times. And this is what we do all day long. So I know people are saying, "Oh, nobody can hypnotize me and I can't be hypnotized." It's like, but really all it is that state of consciousness. And if you can move down into the alpha brainwave state, you're in the state of hypnosis. You're in what's called the hypnagogic trance state. Everybody can do this. So technically everybody can be hypnotized. Yes, maybe you can't go on a stage and, sing like Elvis Presley on command because you don't want to. But in terms of being influenced, you most certainly can. And that's from news, That's from politicians. That's from people you admire, maybe who teach or write books. You can be hypnotized because just watching TV puts you in the alpha brainwave state. So you do, or if like you're bored in a meeting at work and you start thinking about something else, or you're driving home, if you've ever had this experience, driving home and you start thinking about, oh, at work, at my business tomorrow, I got to make that big PowerPoint presentation, or I got to do the big speech at the conference next week. And you start thinking about, I got people coming over, I've got family coming over this weekend. And you're driving home, and then you're in your driveway or in your garage or in your parking spot, and you don't remember how you got there. That's, you put yourself in hypnosis. And so if you ever had experience, or you've just ever daydreamed, or you've ever got bored and started thinking about something else, that's hypnosis. So you can do it. It's just a matter of your intention. Do you want to use what you know you can do to help influence your healing? Even just random things like wine tastes better in a heavier bottle when poured from a heavier bottle. Medication works better if it's expensive and is branded. The best colors for medication are pink and green, although the best for tranquilizers are blue, except for Italian men. Blue tranquilizers do not work for Italian men, and they think because one of the football teams over there, one of the soccer teams for us in America, is called the Azure, and Azure, Italian for blue. So they think blue hypes up men because the uniforms are blue, the banners are blue, the flags are blue. And so blue will actually excite Italian men. That's why blue tranquilizers don't work for Italian men, but they work for everybody else in the world. And so it's really, noticing how you're being influenced in your world. Again, you may be reacting to the world because of instructions you put in when you were a child due to a trauma you experienced. God forbid, but maybe there was abuse when you were growing up, or maybe there's a car accident or a situation with war or being a refugee or something. Very traumatic experience. But if it happened as a child, but that child needing to protect themselves, are going to install instructions on how to keep themselves safe. That's very important. That's the main job of your subconscious mind, is to keep yourself safe. It just may be doing it with the instructions put in there by a child. So you've already hypnotized yourself to maybe when somebody says something to react and to shut down or to feel anger. You don't even have to think about it, it just happens. So you're already hypnotized and you did it yourself, maybe even with the pain and trauma of a child. And so really, again, a lot of this work isn't like we're going to hypnotize you, control you. We're going to give you back control and give you more resourceful, resilient ways of keeping you safe and healing what may have caused so much pain in the past, whether that pain happened yesterday or last week, last month, or 50 years ago. You're allowed to change it. And what's different between, say, talk therapy and hypnotherapy, talk therapy can be very important, can be very healing. I'm not here to put talk therapy on blast or throw it under the bus or anything. But a lot of times I think people get stuck doing talk therapy because they actually don't know what the core issue is. And they're looking outside of themselves for healing. They want that other person, please help me, tell me what's wrong with me and tell me what to do about it. But they don't know. How would they ever know? That's why they ask you question after question after question, have you talk and talk and talk. And then you're there 2 years later after 80, 90 sessions of talk therapy and you're still hurting. You know what the problem is. It might be unconscious, might be in that subconscious part of mind, but you know what the problem is because you keep reacting. Again, maybe unconsciously, you don't understand why, but you are reacting to some sort of trigger. Maybe you're conscious of it, but probably you're not. So you're, to a certain extent, already hypnotized, but you're allowed to change that. That's why when we get older, they say, learn how to play chess or learn to dance or learn a foreign language. Keep learning as we grow older, because our brain keeps changing and working and rewiring and reconnecting. So you can use that to heal. We're not going to do anything you're not doing already. We're just, like Dr. Irving Kirsch, we're going to do it on purpose. We're not going to trick you into doing it. We're not going to take control away from you. We're going to give you back control, and you're going to heal on purpose.
Wow, that sounds so great. Thank you so much. So you mentioned we were already hypnotized in our childhood, of course, by whether it is by our conditioning, the parents, or trauma. You mentioned car accidents or something, abuse as well. So you give back control to the people. This is great news. Thank you so much for sharing. I learned so much, and I have one last question for you. It is about your goals. Yeah, or intentions, because you mentioned the word twice. It's important to set intentions. Do you set goals for yourself or intentions? And what is one of your next projects? And please mention also where we can find you when people want to reach out to you.
Sure. In terms of just goals for myself for the upcoming year, I want to, in terms of my business, I want to, focus on workshops and getting the word out there more about this work, because I know it has a bad reputation because of the movies and TV shows. And so I want to spread the word more. In terms of just personally, I'm always seeking to grow more and learn more. I certainly, as I'm getting older, I want to focus on my health and making sure I'm, doing what is right for my body and keeping my mind active. But in terms of how to find me, I would say the best way is through my website. I live in Flagstaff, Arizona. We're actually up in the mountains. We're not down in the desert where it gets hot. We get snow, and it's a beautiful place to live. But I do most of my work over Zoom now. So I work around the United States, but I work with people. I just worked with somebody the other day in Hong Kong. I work with somebody in Vienna. I work with, London. And so I work with people around the world, around the country now over Zoom, and it works really well over Zoom. To find me, the best way to do is just my website, Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy. I know that's a mouthful, but if you went to Google and typed in Flagstaff Hypnosis, you'll see my website pop up. Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy. Oh, and you mentioned the ACE test. That might be easier to remember. I do have a test anxiety course, and not just for high school, not just for university. There's a lot of professions, at least here in America, if you're an electrician or auto mechanic or a real estate agent or a lawyer, of course, doctors, you have to take licensing and certification exams throughout your career. And so whether you're 10 years old or you're 60 years old, we may experience anxiety around tests. So it's called ACE Any Test, and aceanytest.com. And you can email me from either place.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. When we do this again, we will talk about the test more,
Yeah.
your famous test. I love that. And thank you for being my guest today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Caroline. I really appreciate you inviting me on your show. I had fun.
Oh, thank you, and see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Inspired Choice today. I'm thrilled to have you on this journey of growth and transformation. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe to stay connected and never miss an episode. And here's something special. Grab your free 20-minute breakthrough session with me. It's designed to help you kickstart or level up your business. Just check out the show notes for more. Until next time, keep making those inspired choices. See you in the next episode.